meet again. How y'all doing out there, people? Great to see you. I see a few names over there I recognize. Naturally, my diehard followers. And it was nice of you following me over there to Buffalo Fireside Chats the other day. In case you guys missed that, let me bring that up here for you. In case you missed that, me and Fireside Chats, Eric, we had a talk the other day with a couple of other guys, one from Europe, Austria, and one from Florida. And it's good information. It was very casual, very, very laid back. And today, I am going to actually refer you over to Buffalo Fireside Chats. It's what I'm showing you right now. We're going to have a short show today. Short. It's an hour long. That's what the show used to always be. We're going to make it an hour long because at 5 o'clock, Buffalo Fireside Chat is doing a live interview with Eyeless. And they're asking the hard questions here. And he has talked to this company many times, so he's got a relationship with them. So we should get some really good information in there. So if you're into Eyeless, folks, you're not going to want to miss this at 5 o'clock. So we've got lots of people here today. Glad to see you here. Underdog and Brian, Kashira, Gus Phillips. Hello, Gus. I don't know if I've seen you here before, buddy. You requested big. That's good. These last 4 days, I have had about 12, 15 requests to look at big. Now, I've looked at big lots. I've told a couple people what I think about it, but there's a lot of people who still want me to reply to them. So this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to get the whole flock of birds with one rock. What else we got in here? Sveg. She just got in here. Fantastic. All right, folks, we do have some good stocks to look at today, and I've got them all lined up. Now, keep in mind, we are doing general research, quick DD. We're not doing deep dives, so always come behind me doing your own research. I may miss something that you thought I was going to see. Whenever you give me your ticker, give me a heads up if there's a catalyst. That gives me a way to focus in on it. I don't waste your time. I want to bring something to the table here that you may not have known. So we've got a couple stocks here from the comment list over here, and we've also got a few that came from Twitter today. As soon as I put this up, people started actually telling me in Twitter, add this to your list. It's like, well, okay, strange place to put it, but I'll take it. And this came from Twitter. I can't remember who gave it to me, but we're looking at it. This is ticker ASRT, Assertio Holdings. Finished the day at $1.03. She was down about 1% today, which meant she fell 1 penny. She is a penny stock on the major exchange. Remember, major exchanges come with benefits over the OTC. One of those being, for most brokers, major exchanges are free. Most brokers charge for OTC. I heard Fidelity is free for OTC. I'll have to check into that. You also can trade pre-market, aftermarket. Folks, there are some huge runs pre-market, aftermarket on these stocks. OTC, if you see a run, it's not from me and you because we can't trade it. Never. That's marketers and brokers. On the major exchange, we can get in there and trade. We don't need any permission, any special training. Just get in there and trade. But remember, change your order period. It's not a day trade. If you just put your order in there, it won't even see it. You've got to add extra hours or extended hours or something like that, whatever yours says. And they have a lot more volume and money up there, which is really where you want your stock to be. And they've got more rules, meaning you're going to have a stock that's having to abide by doing the right things instead of trying to get away with the wrong things like we deal with on the OTC. So what is this company about? Well, let's see here. What did I find for this company? Let me scan about here. Matter of fact, I've got some notes just so I didn't lose anything here. I made notes so I could see what was going on. All right, we've got quite a few filings here we're going to take a look at. Jumping into the news, the first thing I noticed here is they've had a lot of management change, and there were some problems with it. All the way back here in May, this Buxton Helmsley urges Assertio stockholders to vote against the directors after disclosure failures, inappropriate boardroom activity, and strategic blunders. And then he has a second one come out here about a week later. Then after that, on May 29th, they get a new CEO. Mr. P.O. Grady comes into the picture. Then here on the 6th of June, they have what's called inducement grants. Now, there's a lot of details about inducement grants, but I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. It is a workaround. It is a law that was passed a while ago for these companies to get around asking shareholders permission so that they can increase shares so that they can do something. This is basically, it's like headhunting. They've got to have an offer to make a big head honcho employee that they want to attract, an executive. And this is how they do it. They put a big share pile in front of them and say, come on and work for us. But if they don't have enough shares to do it, what do? Well, they got to come to the shareholders and have a vote. That takes time. Maybe we're going to say no. They don't want to take that chance. They don't want to waste the time. So they've created this inducement grants. This allows them to create grants for these new executives that aren't exactly common stock. They're restricted stock, they're options, but they don't have to get any stockholder approval to do that. So keep all those facts in mind. We've got a lot going on here under the current. What else did I find over here? All right, what is this company about? We are a leading commercial pharmaceutical company bringing differentiated products to patients. We have a robust portfolio of branded prescription, neurology, inflammation, and pain medications. Now, they've got a deck here. This is a digital brochure, and there's only a couple pages I want to share with you here. This one here, they're giving us a guidance. How much money they say they expect to be making this year. They tell us they plan on making $110 to $125 million. That's always a good thing to know. They've got a list of some of the drugs they have here. They have 8 FDA-approved drugs already on the market, and they're making money with them. Just to give you an idea, right here, the one we were just looking at, Rolvedon, sales are approaching 60 million. They expect them to go over 100 million in the next few years. Indocin is making 18 to 25 million. So this is how they're making their money. They're not research and development. They are selling products. Now, maybe they've got stuff in the pipeline. I haven't seen anything, but they've got lots of products they're making strong revenues on right now. All right, jump out of this. Got to hit a button to do that. The last thing I wanted to share with you, there's their 8 drugs. I know I showed you 5 there, but there's the 8. You can get that on their website. Now let's dive over into these disclosures. I've got a list of what's going on here. I don't want to have to dive into every single one of them. The 8K that you got down here on the 30th, I found this interesting. Matter of fact, I will come into this one. This was a shareholders meeting, a vote. And I guess the insiders have a lot of voting shares, so things normally go their way. Well, they voted a lot of things here. Most of it is about compensation for their new executives. It all passed. They also voted on a ratification. You can come over here and read it. It's a ratification to eliminate having to notify shareholders for certain provisions so they can do it without us being involved. So they're trying to push us out more and more, and they're bringing in this new stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it looks shady. It's just, it's a lot of change for their benefit I see right now. So I'm just looking at it from that avenue. Maybe I'm seeing it the wrong way. I don't know. There were a couple of other filings there. We've got some Form 4s here. 2 of them I wanted to look at. One is an inside buy from Jeff. He's a director. He bought himself 10,000 shares at $1.11 piece. See that P there? That's a purchase. An S is a sale. That's primarily what we're interested in. There's a lot of codes. They could be getting shares, but if it's not a P, they didn't buy them. If you want to know what it's about, you can normally come down here to explanation and responses, and they'll tell you if there's a special thing going on. The other one, I think this was one that was impressive. No, not this one, but I do have an impressive one. This one is from Heather. She's the director and the interim executive officer. She's bought herself 25,000 shares. If that means anything to you. A lot of times insiders will buy before something's going to happen, but normally you see a big buy when that's going to happen. Otherwise, they're just buying at a good price, just padding out their ownings. What is the relative volume around the company today? Well, that's not good. She dropped about, I don't know, 60% there, going from 740,000 shares on the NASDAQ. That's under the radar, down to 262,000 shares. Share structure. Outstanding shares don't look bad. We're under 100 million. That's good. Whatever the float is, they don't tell us. It's going to be under 100 million. So it's a good float. Now, it could be a low float. We have no idea what it is. It could be considerably less. Can't go below a million, but that's a big gap between a million and 95 million, and it can be anywhere in there. With that outstanding share count multiplied times the price, we get our market cap of about 98, 99 million there. Financials. What do we got here? Pretty decent. She's been growing steadily over the last 4 years. Before COVID, she was at 106 million. We know it's millions because we got to add 3 zeros to any of the numbers on any of these charts. Jumped to 111, pushed to 156, and we've pulled back just a wee bit in 2023, and they're making pretty strong profits down here. Quarterlies, well, they were at 42 million, right? Yes, 42 million a quarter. What? I guess that's right. Wow. 42 million a quarter a year ago, and they've fallen down to 32 million. So they have been dipping over these last year, and we're at 21 million profit. Balance sheet, they got lots of money in the bank, 80 million. Lots of assets, 281 million. And we only have about half of that in liabilities. So we do have positive stockholder equity in this company, $134 million. So they're making strong revenues. They have been decreasing, but they're making strong revenues. They are making strong profit. We got stockholder equity here, and we've got a good float. I think that's really all I have got to share with you here. New management coming in. I haven't seen any deals, any catalysts. They're just doing business as normal here. But for some reason, they want different management in from bottom to top. And in case you didn't know it, directors are real important. These are the people that guide the company. They're the ones that have the advice for the upper management. They're the think tank for them. So when you go changing them, that's a huge, huge change. It's something to consider. All right, let's take a look now at ticker ASRT on the chart.
Okay, so just real quick, I'm just going to show this. These are regular candles on the daily chart, and these boxes are where we've gapped down. And as you can see, the interesting part is it's corresponding to their earnings reports. And here's the weird part, even though we had a good report back in August, we gapped down quite a bit, never recovered. The next earnings report, not good at all, dropped, did not recover. We had small pops here and here with some good earnings report, but we haven't yet to reclaim this box. So let me move on to the 4-hour chart on Heikin-Ashi candles. So this is the lower level, around 77 cents, give or take. And then this upper level starts at around 127, 128, which we've yet to regain. We've had these pops along with, a little bit of spike in volume, not as much here as there was here. So the next earnings is coming out August 1st. So keep an eye with that. Let's see, hang on, let me put the ticker up. So if you drop down to 1 hour, let's see what's been going on. All right. So after this spike with the earnings report, this was in early May 6th in the evening. It did pop and react, but then, we went down. There hasn't really been any higher highs, any kind of pattern, but we have kind of maintained sticking around that 200. So that's good on the 1 hour chart. But I'm not really quite sure. It kind of look like we have another resistance here at around 112, because there's been a couple little spikes. We had a little bit of volume like last Friday. But what do you think? What do you think?
Well, we've got her above the 200, and the 200 isn't falling, but she's got a lot of volatility. There's a lot of static there between her bounces low and her bounces high.
Here's the 15.
That chart, you can see how many times she laid on that 200 before she's starting to push off, reaching towards the 50. Now, she's got a lot of SMAs on top of her head. She's going to have to fight this, but I think it's worth a watch. She's she's not in poor position. She's been working her way up. 200 is climbing. She's bouncing off of it. These are the signs we look for at least a continuation.
Yeah, notice though this big bar is during pre-market, and so were these.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully we can get in on some of those pre-market. I'm not. This is 6 a.m. Central, so that's 7 a.m. Uh, Eastern regular time. So we're just kind of here. I think if we lose this, we could come back down below $1. But right now we're hovering just above $1, so that's good, I guess. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
being a major exchange stock, that's the hot water point. You
right,
go under $1, the countdown starts. You can't stay
right.
under $1 for too long.
Okay.
Let us move on to our next victim. This is HMLA, Himalaya Technologies. All right, Himalaya Technologies finished the day at 0023. She was up, wow, 43.5% today. She's on the pink tier. It is the riskiest tier on the OTC. Don't get a whole heck of a lot of validated information down here. And that's what makes them risky. The only validated information we normally get is a transfer agent verified and a verified profile, which we don't have over here. Doesn't mean you shouldn't trade it. It's just reassuring to see all of that stuff. And they tell us she's a shell risk. Shell risk means that they have declared they're in business. They've done something and they should be making revenues. Now, I was just reading here a while ago when rules just changed here, just very recently for shell companies. They are treated like SPACs. When they have a merger or an acquisition, it is considered a transaction of revenue. It is considered an asset. And as soon as they make the deal, they are no longer a shell company. They are in business. And if they're not generating any revenues because they haven't gone into business yet, they've just made the deal, they closed it, it gets them out of being a shell company, but now they're a shell risk, even though they really may not be making money yet. So they tell us that fact. So there has been a lot going on with this company, and the quickest way to just go over it, and we can't go in deep, but I think I can cover enough to give you an idea of what's happening. Himalaya did a deal back here May 23rd, and I'm going to cover 3 pieces of news here. The first one, HMLA announces management change and launch of Everest LPP. Through the everestlpp.com interface, the company will provide initial liquidity pools for decentralized networks to support exciting blockchain utilities and tokens. In return for providing the initial decentralized LP services for projects, HMLA will receive project tokens as its primary consideration. The next one came out May 31st. The company announces their intent to acquire Mad Hatter Society. This strategic acquisition marks a significant expansion for Himalaya Technologies, broadening its digital finance capabilities and enhancing its portfolio of Web3 offerings. They are getting 100% of this company. And I'm not going to read through them all, but these are the acquisition apps that they are acquiring with this deal. The next piece of news came out June 4th. NSAV announces partnership with Himalaya Technologies. Yes, this is NSAV, the one you're probably familiar with. NSAV is on the market and she's doing very well. The other day, someone asked me to take a look at it, and I was surprised to see how well NSAV was doing. I put it on my short list because it was looking good. I don't think the chart was looking all that great, which is why I didn't want to look at it right yet, but I do recall the news being decent. Under the agreement with nsav.com, they will provide technology development and social media management services to the company. Effective immediately, NSAV, through its partnership with DaVinciPay.com, will integrate the Everest token within the DaVinciPay payment ecosystem. I hope that meant something to you. This cryptocurrency stuff goes right over my head. And I know that wasn't even technical, right? NAV previously developed the EverestLLP.com, an autonomous liquidity pool platform that links capital to pre-approved token projects and the Everest token for Himalaya. Now, from what I'm gathering here, this is one of those tokens that when you invest in the token, the money going into that token is going to somebody who's got some project going on. Say they're building a hotel or something. That money is being used and it is going to grow as the project grows.
So it's kind of like an investment in
Yeah,
something else.
yeah, it's a way for us to be able to invest, and you can
Awesome.
expect your token to go up in value, not by any whims of the market, but by
Right.
the progress of the project. So you know
Oh,
it's
I
going to
like
grow.
that.
Another piece of news came out June 11th. The company provides the Everest token update. The Everest token has partnered with nav.com to integrate the NavSav Pay payment plugin into Everest LLP. The NSAV Pay payment plugin will enable LP funding partners to fund their commitments using over 400 tokens across the Ethereum, Binance, Polygon, Solana, Avalanche, and Tron networks. Now, I'm not a cryptocurrency trader for the most part, but I recognize most of those names as being big organizations. That's why I read that to you. They're not just a little token obscurely on one market. They are involved in a bigger picture out there that I'm just not completely aware of. And the last thing I want to share with you is this Form 4. How about that? I told you to look for a P. Those are all P's. This is the CFO. He machine gunned this bad boy. He has been buying shares from January 3rd to February 16th. I don't know why it took so long to get out. It just came out, and I'm showing it to you. He is buying millions of shares over here. Cheap, 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 cheap. My favorite buy price, 001. He knows bloody well when that hits 002, all of that just doubled. Boom! Easy money. But do you think he's going to get out at 002? Heck no. He's in for the long haul, ain't he? Well, I added this up. We are just at about 23 million shares that he has bought, if that means anything to you. He's also got a bunch of preferred stock down here as well. Lots of it. He's jumping in deep right now. So that's everything I found to share with you about why you should be looking at the company. Let's see what's going on with it. Her regular volume over the last 30 days has been about 7.5 million. Today we were down a little, down to 6.3 million. Share structure for HMLA. We've got about 370 million shares outstanding. We have about 40 million being held by the insiders. Those are common shares, just like mine and yours. Now, I was just educated and learned the other day that you really can't trust the unrestricted shares to be the float. There's shares in there that may not be actually on the market, which is really what the float is. So, because they don't give us a float, I never have a number down here that's, look at that, because it's always outdated. And the DTC is actually a transient sort of place where shares are moving through all the time. So the best I can do is to tell you that the float will never be higher than the unrestricted share counts. Right, Shido? That's an accurate comment. So it shouldn't be anything higher than 329 million, which big deal. That's a pretty huge float. All them shares, and we don't even have a market cap of 1 million. We're at 592,000 market cap. That's a micro cap. We have nothing here on the annual reports. No money at all. We have nothing here on the quarterly reports. Balance sheet. We have $5,000 in the bank, 137,000 assets, 695,000 liabilities. So there's not much here, but what there is, it's deficit, and we're holding it about $558,000. So things have to get going here. Something has to get rolling. They don't have any stockholder equity. They don't have any revenues. They don't have any money in the bank. They don't have any assets. They've got to get something going. And it's surprising. It sounds like things are going. I mean, it sounds like things are in motion, but where's the money come from? I don't know. We're just not seeing it yet. Let me see where we at. Financials. I believe that covers my ball game right there. Yeah. So that's all the information I've got for you. They don't, I guess they're in business because of the deal they made. That's the only thing I can say. They're not making any money. You can see that. So they are considered a shell risk. There's not any punishment. I've not ever seen any punishments passed out for being a shell risk for too long. But in any case, that's what it stands at. So she had a great day at 43%. I don't know why. Let me see that chart and see if I can figure it out.
Okay, so we've looked at this a few times. Last time we looked at it was the end of the year, and so I pointed those out. All these lines were already drawn. I didn't have to do any of this. So this 0038 was already here, and look at this. We came right up to it and surpassed it. Could not hold it though, so yeah, it is what it
That's
is.
not a
This
bad sign to see she broke it though.
it
Tapping is
did break
one
it.
thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
you got to break the ice before you can get through the hole.
It did, and I think this could be just a pullback to continue, but I don't know, obviously. This here, I had this as I think like
Ooh.
another support resistance. That's why it's in yellow. And as you can see, this was already drawn. It came right back down to that as well. So we're kind of in this middle ground
I
again,
think you're right. I think
and I like that.
the big green bar that broke through with that long wick, that's our first sign that it's itchy. It wants to climb.
Hmm.
That second drop right there, you got another very long wick that came down through a strong SMA. I think of that as a pillar to steady off the next climb. It's going to
I
start getting
agree.
high. So
Yeah.
that could be a perfect setup right now, just like that. Perfect.
I
Yeah.
agree, and on the 4 hour, we came down to, the 50 here, so you see that kinda
Yeah.
touch this on this tail, like you said, that was today, and so now we're back up, we're at the point, 0022, sorry. So it looks like we could be just gearing up for another, step up, it could be l if you look actually, if you look right here, it looks like an inverse cup and handle starting. See that?
Uh-oh. No, I
So
don't see
so
it.
it could go either way is what I'm saying.
I don't want to see it. I don't see it.
You don't just pretend I didn't say that. I mean, it could be. So I'm saying there's a couple possibilities here. It's either that or it could be just gearing up for another leg up. But
Well,
like you said, it did break this, and we came right to. That's amazing. I mean, this line was already drawn, came right up to it just this week, and yeah. So now we down
the
touch the 50.
oscillators show that she's pumping up right now.
Yeah, so it looks like, we might have bounced off that and could keep going, or it's an inverse cup and handle situation. I'm not sure, so let's drop it down to the whoops, 1 hour. Sorry about that. There we go. Look at this.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
look at that
See,
support line.
yeah,
I didn't even look at that before.
beautiful,
That
beautiful.
doesn't now see that doesn't look like an inverse cup and handle if you drop it down. So you got to look at it from different perspectives. Wow, that's amazing. Look how it came right to that line and then the support here at the 0016. Yeah, I pat myself on the back for that. Those were already drawn. You can go
No,
back to the
I get it. It's nice to be right.
well,
It's
I mean, it's good that the levels were right at least. That's good. So I mean, yeah. I mean, once we
I
cross
like it.
that, those are yeah, I like it too.
Yeah,
Now
you've
on
got
the
a
1
few
hour.
different charts there, and each one of the charts I can see light in. So I'm liking this stock. She's showing more than just hopeful, wishful thinking. She looks like she wants to climb. Your lines are perfect. She's respecting those lines, hard. I would definitely put this on my watch list. Though we don't have any real catalyst, we've got everything else. I mean,
A catalyst would be nice here. Yeah.
yeah, she's in position and she's got the people playing her. She wouldn't be moving if she didn't have people watching her right now.
Man. I mean, these lines were absolutely perfect. That's incredible. Love it. Yeah, pat myself on the back. I'm just gonna keep saying it. No, I'm serious. This is great. I love it when we go back to a chart that we haven't looked at in a while. And by a while, I don't mean 2 weeks. I mean like a few months, just to
Right.
see where we're headed. So, yeah, keep an eye on this one. If it might come back down here and test this, or we might jump back up and hopefully claim this area. That would be really nice. But yeah, that's HMLA.
Himalaya, the mountain climber.
Himalaya. Okay.
So we are now looking at IGPK. Seems to be a lot of attention being paid to this stock. I got my butt kicked when I claimed it was a cannabis company. I was going through the biggest leaders of the day, and this company had some good, strong runs, and I didn't do any due diligence. It was just, well, they aren't. Not anymore. They're not into cannabis at all. Matter of fact, what you read here is exactly what's going on. We'll get to that. IGPK, still using the name Integrated Cannabis Solutions. The company did try to change the name. When they changed the name, it actually shut the door for filing with the SEC because they were doing it by going to a different state. They were trying to domicile the company. So they couldn't file their 10K, which they had to do to finalize the deal. So it put them in the hot water. So they backed out of changing their name, put the name back to Integrated Cannabis Solutions, and they said, we'll come back to it later. Not a big deal. We'll come back to it later. They finished today at 0078. They were up 13%. She too is on the pink tier and got all of the validated information we like to see. And if I remember correctly, I'm just peekabooing here. I thought they had 10Ks. Yeah, we do. No, that's 23. Nah, we're back to disclosures. Okay. All right. So what did I have to share with you here? Well, I just went into the most recent financial. Actually, I am not in the most recent financial. I'm in the annual. Once they got their name back to Integrated Cannabis Solutions, they were able to file their 10K. They were late on it. This is their annual. At the bottom of the annual, my favorite zone to run to, subsequent events. These are things that happened that they couldn't get into the financial while it was being done, so they throw it down here at the bottom. And it really is everything we're talking about here. Effective January 1st, 2024, the company acquired Dongguan Zhongfeng Hong e-commerce company. Did I say that right? This is, they did that for 500 million shares of the company. Now, this is the description you will see everywhere. It's the only description. I have looked in numerous places and they say it numerous times. Based in Hawaii City, Dongguan City, Guangdong Province, Dongguan operates as an internet e-commerce company through which the company's resident merchants sell an array of consumer products on the online platform to customers located primarily in China. Beginning with the first quarter of 2024, and this is the most important part here, the financial statements of the company's financial condition and operating results will include those of Dongguan. And this makes the difference. Money talks, the rest of it walks. There's really not a lot here to share with you. If I jump over here to the news, there's really nothing here. Well, that's all 2023. You got nothing in 2024. So let me show you what we got going on here by jumping into the financials.
There's nothing new from like March 19th.
Hold on.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
I am getting to the catalyst. You can't take away my punchline.
Go ahead.
All righty. As you can see, they were making no money at all here. They made some here, but where did it go? But then you jump into the quarterlies. They just filed their quarterly report. Boom. They went from making nothing to instantly making money. They went from 0 to 5.5 million, bringing in 3.5 million profit. That is now their revenues, just the start. It is just beginning for them. The balance sheet. They now have 3.5 million in the bank, 4.3 million. Now I want you to look. There was nothing. It's been years since we've seen any value in this company. Things haven't changed. So this is the change right now. 4.3 in assets. Look at those liabilities. $27,000. That's what I want to see. So we've got stockholder equity here of $4.2 million. Revenues have just kicked into high gear. Profits, they're not running at a loss. Everything is looking good. Let's see what we've got over here for relative volume with this company today. Okay, that's not looking good. Or is it? We got about 50% of the volume that we normally get. Over the last 30 days, she's been roughing it at 36 million. Got to remember there's numbers lower and there's numbers higher. And some of those numbers could be significantly higher. Wouldn't hurt you to run over to Yahoo Financial and look at the historical data. It'll show you every day's volume. And you can really get a feel for how a company's moving. With this 17.2 million, it went up 13%. So just because the volume went down is not necessarily a bad thing. That normally is necessarily a bad thing. That's a ton of shares. And the worst part is that they virtually got everything that we've authorized. 4.6 billion shares. They got 4.5 billion on the market. The good news here, they have 2.2 billion. We have 2.2 billion. I dare you to do a reverse stock split. Those are the exact same shares they own that I own. So if I go through a split, so do they. And if they bought theirs at a bad time and it's down right now, they're going to take a huge loss just like I would. So I think that could be a deterrent for a while. Now, maybe that's not the float. Let's just say that it won't be any higher than 2.2. It could be. See, this is 611. That's yesterday, 2 days ago. They say it was 1.8 billion, which is a lot lower than 2.2 billion. So it could be less. It could be. Market cap for the company, we're currently at 31 million. Financials, we already looked at those and they are hot. That is the catalyst. That is why we're looking at this company. The quarterly report just came out. I did go through that one, ran all the way down to the bottom for subsequent events. It says there are none. So I haven't gone through all the information in there. I just went through what I was looking for. So if you want to know more about this new company that's just taken over, I will tell you this. I'll just save you the time. The description I read you is the only description in there too. They don't give you any more information about who their merchants are, what products they sell, none of that. All they tell you is that they sell in different cities online. Well, what's it matter what city you're in if you're selling online? Aren't you selling to the entire country online? I don't get China. They're a little strange. Okay, that's my department. Let's turn this over to Taylor now.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm not on StreamYard. Sorry. Okay, here we go. All right.
Back to the Titanic. I swear to God.
All right, so we've looked at this before back in March, and I have that marked off here. All these lines I already had. Just let me show you the interesting thing. For months and months and months, we were way down here in the triple zeros, but now we're up here, and the volume has still, still significantly better than it was. The reason I was asking, because see, we had this big old drop off on the 18th of March. It was like just days after we had talked about it, that it was reaching this level, dropped off again, but stayed, bounced off this 200 really well several times here. We had higher highs and we hit the top of this. It was 0.0175. I mean, we came up on it several times, but now, we bounced off here, but this kind of looks like a bear flag to me personally. But this is the daily chart. Let's see what's going on the 4-hour real quick. We're still kind of.
I'm not liking that.
It's not looking as good. See, this looks like a bear flag to me. But the good thing is we did reach that area. We just cannot claim that for some reason. I'm not sure what happened here. But we really dropped. I mean, we're talking from 0.016 down to the triple or double zero area, 008, 007.
Yeah, it still looks like higher or lower highs,
lower highs here.
Lows.
Yeah, lower highs.
Yeah, I mean, she's popping, but it doesn't look intriguing to me at all.
I think maybe people were seeing this, like the 1 hour. You can see like across here, this kind of looks like it's getting a little hope, but not necessarily, because see, we're still in this area here where it kind of consolidated.
Yeah.
So I don't really love this, but I did like that it did try to reach this level a few times. See, it did, but we just can't claim it. And I marked that off as an important resistance, and it is respecting that resistance in a not so positive way for us.
That's a big gap.
It's a gap. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing now. What do you think? This is the 1 hour.
I don't like it. I don't see any hope in it right now. She hasn't found a bottom as far as I'm concerned, and the SMAs are still all tipping down. So if you're into this, we're going to have to be patient. She needs to find her bottom. Is that no, that's just your cursor. What does her bottom look like? What's her 52-week low?
Like the very bottom, we were consolidating here between the 006 and 00 or 0006, sorry, and 001. So, and this was here for months. You can see that. Months and months and months.
Yeah, okay, so that's out of the question.
So we're not way down there, but
we've got to find a new bottom up on this new level right now, and she hasn't found it yet. It's been very all over the place in there. So
Yeah, I don't think so either, unless it was here, but it's not really showing a sign of like that was support. I
Right.
mean, this was great. This run from like the end of March up until mid-May. I mean, we were higher highs.
But that's a lot of
Um,
volatility. For you to get all them gains, you'd had to be
it's
either
definitely a lot
very
of
patient
volatility.
or play
Yeah.
the bounces. Play those bounces.
Yeah, kind of consolidated here. I mean, I guess this day or this, the last couple of days it was, or the last day, sorry.
I'm not going to put it on my watch list.
But I
That's
wouldn't
all
say that that's like, oh yeah, it's going to rise up because look what happened here. It did the same thing. It looks
exactly.
pretty similar here, and then
And
just
that's all we can do is look at the past. And it looks like in most recent past,
yeah,
she's doing the same thing she's doing now, and it's not getting her anywhere.
right. So there we go.
So we're going to move on to something that everybody wants to talk about. Swear to God, man, I've had so many requests about this, but I'm going to tell you the one thing that everybody brings up. Well, two things. And am I going to get this right? First off, it's being heavily shorted. I've read 42, 43% shorted right now. This reminds me a lot of game. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the financials. The financials, she's been falling for 3 years. She was at $70 3 years ago, and she just keeps falling. Even if her fair market value is $7 right now, she's on a downtrend. She just had most recent financials come out. They had, what was it? It was a 10% decrease in revenues, lost $300 million. They made projections. This is the big point. Projections that they will be dropping 1 or more percent every year for the next 3 years, and then go on to say that their competitors should grow 11% in the same period. That doesn't sound good to me. That sounds like a dying horse. Well, that's exactly what game was. Game was a dying horse, and shorters came in and started pushing it down, and it became something different. People weren't investing in game for game. They were investing in game for opportunity to play the game of shorters versus investors and get a big squeeze out of it. I don't play that. Personally, I don't play short squeezes because they're almost impossible to predict. I can tell you if the weather is going to be rainy or sunny in the next couple of days, but where a tornado is going to hit and when it's going to hit a month from now or tomorrow, I have no clue. So to me, shorts are wild cards. When it happens, it happens. If you happen to be there at the right time, lucky you. So I really don't consider that a catalyst, though a lot of people do. The other thing was, am I getting this name right? Michael Blurry. I've never heard of him. He seems to be, I don't know if there's multiple Michael Blurries out there, but the one I found is in charge of a hedge fund and pretty much known for shorting stocks. Well, I hear he's invested in this stock. So that's a little peculiar. Don't know anything about that. And I'm sure most of you know what Big Lots is all about. That's the store that used to sell stuff that was being rid out of other stores, stuff that couldn't sell, they weren't producing anymore, end of line products, stuff like that. I haven't been to Big Lots in a decade, so I don't know what they sell anymore. Maybe they've changed their format.
I didn't even know they were still around.
See, and that's what I'm talking about, right? How do you survive when people don't even know if you're still out there? So I think this may be turning into something. I mean, I heard Citron got out of game today. They are no longer shorting game. So if that was one of the reasons for everybody to be in, game could become a whole heck less volatile. Maybe a new kid on the block becomes the chosen one. Could it be Big Lots? Could you be here at the earliest moment recognizing something before anybody else does? Maybe. Maybe I'm missing it because I don't follow shorts. But for those of you who do, hey, this could be something. What was the volume around today? It dropped a little less than 1/3 from 1.7 million to 1.2 million. What's the share structure on this? Hey, look at that. We have 29, let's call it 30 million shares, which is pretty decent. Don't have a clue what the float is. Won't be any higher than the outstanding share count. Market cap, we're at about 70 million right now. Let's see their financials. That's something I'm curious to. Wow. All right. It's not like they're going bankrupt or anything, you know. They're making lots of money here. These are billions. We got to add those 3 zeros to these numbers. Those are all billions there. 4 years ago, at the start of COVID, they were at 6.1 million. carried on through COVID at 6.1. After COVID, fell down to 5.4. Now they're at 4.7. That's billions. They're doing good revenues, but they are falling. Profit, they're bringing home strong profit. No doubt about that. Quarterly. All right. We got some strange things going on here. Over the last year, they have been dropping, though they had a pop here a quarter ago. They were at 1.1 billion a year ago. Now we're at basically a billion. They just made the most profit they've ever made. But that's because they didn't pay a single penny for any of their revenue. How do you do that as a retail store? You got shipping, employees, leases. I mean, you got all sorts of bills. How does that happen? Something's going on there. I would have to look into this. Balance sheet for the company. Got $43 million in the bank, 3.1 billion in assets, 3 billion, just about 3.1 billion in liabilities. So we've got just a wee bit of stockholder equity here of $81,000. Now, I want to point out something here, folks. This isn't a hard science, but you just saw 30 million shares. You also see over here $81,000 in equity, and you see a price of $2.33. You can figure out stock price based on equity by dividing all the shares into the stockholder equity. Well, when you divide 30 million into what was that? 81,000, you end up with 003. 003 as a stock equity price, and we're at 233. That doesn't excite me. I would have to start looking at other ways that you look at figuring out the price value, because that's bloody scary right there. Let me see. Was there anything else here? Disclosures. You got your most recent 10Q. It's sad and it's bad, but all the information's in there. Got an 8K that probably goes with that 10Q. It's an abridged one so that you don't have to read everything. You can just get more of the facts and details. And this 8K, let's see, appointment of certain officers. So they're changing their directors. Yes, they are changing their directors. So they're working on their director board as well. So that's what I see here. I didn't have any news, folks. Looking over here, it's not like they've opened up new stores or they're shutting down stores or anything like that. There is no news. So I didn't find anything to share with you except the financials and her state of condition on the chart, which I'm going to let Taylor elaborate on.
All right. All right. So not looking too hot, just at a glance. This is a daily chart here. I've marked off a few, levels here. This area here at around like 367, you can see it was a support. Then it turned into resistance, really hard resistance. Could not get past it until whatever happened this day. There's a giant spike in positive volume on the 14th of May, so about a month ago. We went right up here to this 563, which coincidentally was another resistance area here. Couldn't get up over it even with this green candle here, right at like that 367. It's very reactive to their earnings reports. So I'm guessing this is when they announced their new director or whatever you were talking about. I mean, because this isn't that bad, but it just completely dumped after that. And same here.
Yeah.
But it did reach its support, and you would think, oh, it's going to stay up there. No, it turned into. But here we had a pause.
If you look at the hourly chart and look at the day that their earnings came out and zoom in on that area, you can see real close. Yeah, zoom in on that so that we can see it close. It was just about ready to break out. She was pumping up. She was just at the 200. The 200 was totally flat. That was a perfect setup. Had the financials had anything good to say, we would have had a rip out of that.
It would have. Yeah, because it went right to that resistance area. I mean, like a few cents off, whatever.
Perfect.
But now they reported earnings in the morning, so this brown area is going to be pre-market. So you can see that it, did this. I guess this candle opened here, went up a little bit, and then closed here. Open, close, and it just kind of went sideways all day. Pre-market the next day down, sideways down. So it didn't like whatever was said. Volume's also decreasing, as
You
you
can
can
see
see.
that's a stair step heaven right there. I mean, boink,
The
boink, boink,
wrong
boink.
way. So
Now,
its 52-week low is actually $2.19, which was hit during the day this past Tuesday, the 11th.
okay.
Just
Now I consider 52-week lows advantageous in most cases if a stock has value, the company. If it doesn't, forget about that. It'll make a new 52-week low and another one behind that.
yeah.
That's looking at least optimistic, but I don't like the way it's crouching underneath that 50 and refusing to just walk over it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had, and the spikes are happening like this one. They're happening during, and this green candle, they're happening during pre-market hours. So this was like 8 a.m. Central Time. Then
All
during
right,
the day, we just kind of whatever
we're going to
during
have
the
to
day.
move to the next one here because we only got 10
Sure,
minutes left, and that's just
no
enough time.
problem.
I think
Next,
I've got 2 stocks left, and I don't think we're going to be able to get to both of them. We are going to cover LQMT is the one we may not get to, folks. We're going to be closing down at 5 o'clock so that you can go over to Buffalo Fireside Chats and see that live interview with Ilis. We are going to cover Paudi right now.
okay.
Ticker PWDY, Powerdyne International. We've covered this a couple of times. She finished today at 00362, and she was up 0.5% today. She too is on the pink tier. She has one of those green ticks, the validated transfer agent, which is important. We don't have a verified profile. So what did I learn about this company? Well, not a much. I've got a couple of things I can share with you here. First off, we've looked at this company before. They've got 2 divisions. One division is working with picture frames. They've got one store. It's where their office is at, and they sell picture frames. Not too interested in that one. Maybe it's doing more than I think. Their other business is making motors. Now, it's funny, when you read the description over here, it doesn't sound right. Powerdyne International is a development stage company planning to build and lease electrical generation technology and equipment. Well, really what they're doing is making motors, all kinds of motors. You know, the motors you put on everything that just spin, bzzz, all these different types of motors. Well, this right here tells you exactly how they're fitting into the new era of robots and AI. The motors that CM Tech currently have in production primarily provide the X, Y, and Z axis articulation in factory automation robots. The company specializes in the design and custom building of industrial servo motors, both brush and brushless motor designs. CM Tech's current market focus is on the niche motor demands for low volume, high quality, cost-effective motors, which are primarily used in industrial robotics for the semiconductor manufacturing. And we've been using these motors for 100 years. But now, because of robotics, they have a new use for them. So it's reinvigorating their business. Now, I couldn't find any news. I couldn't find any filings with Catalyst to talk about. But they do have a Twitter account, and we do have information over here. I've gone back to May 29th. They have an update. Now that both our annual and quarterly reports are completed and new auditors have been retained, the company has begun to actively reach out to other motor companies for potential acquisition and mergers. On the 30th, company reached out to the OTC yesterday. We will join the OTC QB as soon as possible in hopes to reduce the blatant price manipulation that happened in Paudi during yesterday's trading, in case any of you have questions. Then on the 4th, the company is excited to announce we have begun shipping orders to a new semiconductor manufacturer based out of Taiwan. Semiconductor companies are getting these motors, and they are putting their semiconductors into these motors and prefabricating them, and then they are selling those motors off to their ultimate customers who are buying the chips. So this is good business for them. So this is based out of Taiwan. We anticipate this new client will contribute significantly to our revenue growth and additional deals. And another one, the company is excited to announce we have received requests for motor quotes from a large semiconductor manufacturer based out of Texas. And the final one, The company is excited to announce that we have retained the services of the Kinsley Street Investors Group to assist with our move up to the QB. Stay tuned for more exciting news next week. And what's the price right now? We're at 003. To be on the QB, there is a minimum price requirement of 1 penny. So to get up there, we have got to get the price up. I can't imagine they would do a silly reverse split to get up to a penny. But in saying that, they may not want to come onto the market at a penny. They may want to come on the market at 10 cents or $1. They may want to get the right people looking at them now. So with this many shares, 1.8 billion, insiders owning 3/4 billion, and most of the rest are going to be in the float, they got lots of room for a split. Lots of room. They could do this a 10, and we would come down to 188 million shares. And that would kick the price up to 3 cents. They could do a 100 and take it down to 18 million, and that would kick it up to 30 cents. You see where I'm going with this? You could lose a lot of shares here, but they're going to put the stock in front of people who have money, who don't look at cheapy sub-penny stocks. And if this company is starting to grow, if you have factories around the world and domestically grabbing up their motors so that they can chip them out before they send them out, this company could be an early ground floor opportunity, even though it's been around for like 40 years, I do believe it is. So what was the relative volume around Party today? She dropped from 11 million down to just about 4.5 million. Share structure we already looked at. Financials, well, they're growing, and they're growing nicely from 3,000 to 48,000, 1.2 million, 1.4 million. Yes, they're paying a lot for theirs because they're working with hard factory items, right? Motors. $430,000. That's the most they've made in the last 4 years. Quarterlies. Well, that's looking backwards. We got 450,000 a year ago. Things are getting better, and their revenues are actually dropping. We're down to 275,000, and it cost them 215,000 out of that. So they got to keep $60,000. The significant revenue increase from Taiwan and Texas will be definitely appreciated. Cash in the bank, we got about $94,000. Total assets is only 245,000. Liabilities is 400,000. So we're holding a little bit of deficit here, $169,000. Now, again, when you go and take how many shares there are and divide it into your stockholder equity, you're going to end up with a negative number here, aren't you? Yeah. And what's our price? 003. So this is hard when you're trying to figure out what a stock is worth when a stock is in dark waters. It's just tough to see the light and shine it on it. So this company looks like they're going to uplist. That's going to be a big deal. You got a heck of a lot more respect on the QB because your financials are audited. They are going to move up to SEC reporting. They are going to give us audited financials. They have to be over a penny. They're going to put themselves in a better place. Maybe get treated better, which is what the management says is the problem down on the pink. No, duh. You get no respect down here. No respect. All right, Taylor, you get the rest of the time. You only got 2 minutes, so be quick, honey.
Okay, so I already went. Is this the right one? Yeah, this is it. So I went ahead and just went to the 1 hour chart real quick. So this is the last time we looked at it. These lines were already drawn. We totally jumped up, blew past that line at 0030.
Yeah, man.
Went way up here, all the way to 0048. Came back down and tested the 50 here.
Perfect. Yeah.
Came back down to this first resistance, like I said, the 003, and now we're kind of in the middle here, but it kind of looks like a bull flag.
That looks good to me. She's showing a lot of strength. She is pulling back,
support,
bounces on the right places. She's predictable. Yep. That's what I like about her.
Right here is 0042. We'll see if we can reclaim that because that has been hit several times here. So I do like this. Yeah, let's see what the 15-minute, so low-term chart or lower time frame. So it looks like it's kind of respecting this. kind of hit here, I think here. Oh, these EMAs are kind of starting to converge a little bit, so that's good.
You got to
Yeah,
go
what do you
across
think?
there.
Looks pretty good. A few golden crosses. There's one, there's two, almost
Right?
three. So
Yeah,
that's
the
good. We can
50.
see them all. Yeah, that's the 15-minute. Looks decent. Looks like it's trying.
Yeah,
It's
it
trying to
doesn't look
back above here.
strong, but it looks like it's determined. And if a stock is determined, that's all it takes. It'll
Yeah.
keep pushing through those resistances. It'll work at it, maybe take a couple days, but she is showing strength. She's not quick, but she's strong.
Yeah, and the volume's holding up pretty well. At least there's
Yeah.
some spikes in volume. So there we go. Looks pretty good. We're at an hour, so I didn't want to take up too much time, but there it is, PWDY.
Folks, I hate the short. Go for it. Dink. We are letting you go so that you can go catch up with this guy right here. Yes. I got it on. It's already
I was
live.
gonna
Folks.
say, what in the world? So the live stream's starting.
Yes, I had it on my channel. So get over there to Buffalo Fireside Chats. They are live streaming an interview with Eyeless. Eyeless has over 34,000 investors. Most companies have a couple hundred investors. Think about that. That should say something. Well, that's my time. We will see you next week, Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Have yourself a good evening, folks. Bye-bye.
Bye.